Hello, everyone. Welcome to Clancy's podcast. And just one thing that I would like to say to my friends, you know who you are. You know who you are. I still love y'all, guys. I'm just going through some things and I'm trying to fix these things. And once everything is back to normal, I'll be back right in your life and you in mine. It's just life is lifing for me right now. But I think about you every day. You're in my prayers as well, and I hope you are all well. And also, you who is on the other side of the pond, well, I think way up there, I hope you're also doing well. And we got some few things that I would like to talk about that I've been observing from my hospital bed while I'm recovering from an operation, and also my head just being in a very hot mess and everything else that is happening. And I'm making observations, and I'm since January of 2025, things have been quite interesting. Listen, I am not one to tell you how to vote. I'm not the one to tell you how you voted is what you deserve or anything like that, because I sincerely believe that a vote is your conscience. If your conscience says, I'm going this direction, then when you take that direction and then there are consequences in that direction, that's the path that you chose. Everybody has a choice and we need to respect that choice. And also everybody's vote is a secret. And I understand the whole thing about coming together and fighting against a certain cause or a certain person with a cause that is going to create a lot of damage. Whether the damage is to test the patriotism of its citizens or the democracy and the systems of democracy destroyed, or even the empire itself that this particular country, whichever one, South Africa included, has been building for however long. And then there are warnings, of course, that are going to be thrown around to a certain group of people, and that certain group of people, because they also have their own agendas, or maybe they see themselves as, without realizing that the people that they think they are, they actually don't consider them as part of them. So it doesn't matter how you go with, maybe it does matter how you go with your vote, but at the end of the day, it is your conscience. And you're going to have to live with that conscience for 4 years. In our case in South Africa, is 5 years. And hopefully out of all of that, there were some lessons learned, all right? That is just, I think, how things should work, like respecting each other's choices. But yes, I also do believe that also help those from your own experience by saying, take this guidance from me, because I've been experiencing this for so many centuries or for so many years or whatever the case might be. Now, I want to talk about something that is actually leaving me in total shock right now. Planes that are flying from one first world country to the next first world country, mostly I'm talking about European countries going to America. What's happening with those flights, guys? I'm seeing empty seats. So now the question I'm asking myself, is this real, or is this somebody trying to paint a certain picture about planes that are flying from London, from Paris, from Ireland, from Germany, and all these places? Totally empty. You'll find a plane that seats at roughly around 265 people, but you only find 4. What happened to the other 261? It's the question I'm asking. In some flights, there are no flight attendants, because who are they going to be serving? So you enter an airplane. This is, I'm going to say allegedly. I'm going to say allegedly because sometimes things that you see on the internet can be misleading, and I don't want to talk about misleading information. So I'm just going to make an assumption here that you enter an airplane or a plane, and the pilot comes over to you and say, well, over there is the galley, you can serve yourself with whatever that is there for the next 6 hours as we cross the pond, depending where exactly you're going to in the east of the United States. And when you are in the east of the United States flying to the west, apparently flights are also empty, particularly flights from New York to not Los Angeles, Las Vegas. And there are some also that are empty going to Florida, especially international people around this time of the year, which is summer in the Northern Hemisphere. And the US gets a lot of attention around this year from tourists going to Florida, going to LA, going to all these places. But apparently those flights empty. Airports that we have been seeing as well, empty. So I'm sitting there recovering from an operation and I'm like, huh? Is this even possible? This is quite interesting to me. And I would like you to please educate me about this. How real is this if you've traveled from Europe going to the US? Because I'm interested. Yes, I think early this year when Donald Trump took over the White House and then he had all these travel restrictions, lots of European countries sent out travel advisories to their citizens, basically warning them that, listen, if you are going to the United States, at your own risk, we are not going to stop you, but when you decide to go, be careful or at least make sure that your travel documents are up to date. That includes your visa. That also includes where you're going to stay, how long you're going to stay. Get your story straight. Because we also on this side of the world have witnessed. To me, it was just unbelievable what I was witnessing, where Europeans, particularly Germans and some few Western Europeans, fly to the United States, and when they get to the airport, they get detained. Not only do they get detained, but they get interrogated for hours on end. And without a phone call, sometimes without food, and then they are thrown in a cold cell. They cannot contact anybody, whether you're going there for a conference or you're going there to meet somebody or you're going there for a vacation or whatever the case might be. Now you are stuck in a jail cell and possibly could be deported to El Salvador, to wherever else, Rwanda, that people that are getting detained and deported go to. I'm flabbergasted. The one that really got me was this Australian lady who was, I think she's still married to an American, and this man that she's married to is an American soldier. So because her husband gets deployed, she doesn't want to be in a country that she was not born in, no friends and family, or some kind of support that she would remain in the United States for while her husband is deported elsewhere. So what she does, she goes back home, and when he is released for, I think, vacation or a holiday or whatever the case might be, I don't know actually how the US Army works when it releases their soldiers to go and see their families. So that's when she will fly to the United States to be with her husband for the length of time that he is going to be outside of the barracks or his deployment. Now, she flies to the United States. I think she lands in New York. And she gets detained. And when she's detained, she is very confused for hours on end. I think it was 16 hours she was being questioned, thrown in a cell after that, while her husband, who is an American citizen, is in Las Vegas waiting for her to walk through international arrivals. But every flight that has landed in Las Vegas from New York, she's not on it. So did she get delayed in Australia? Because obviously they would have communicated when she's at the airport in Australia. And when she's boarded the plane, she will also indicate that I boarded the plane. And when she landed, as the plane taxis to the dock and phones are allowed to be switched on, she would actually update it. I'm now in New York. We just landed. Now I'm about to take my flight to Las Vegas. So what happened between the time she updated him and the 16 hours subsequently ending up being something like 33 hours when she is eventually deported back to Australia without seeing or speaking to her husband. And this is a lady. I'm like, what is happening, United States? Let's talk. What's happening there? And then, of course, Germans as well getting detained and deported and all of that stuff. So chances are the reason maybe why these flights are empty from Europe is because of these travel advisories and these stories that these citizens of the European countries that planned probably to go and visit the United States during the summer holidays, but they've withheld and canceled because they fear of what is going to happen to them. From what I understand, there's quite a lot of abuse, humiliation, and mistreatment of you once you have been pulled aside, interrogated, detained without food, water, or a phone call. A fundamental constitutional right. And then, speaking about flights, so here I was at OR Tambo International Airport. If you come to South Africa, particularly landing in Joburg, you will know the airport I'm talking about. So I'm just sitting and I'm doing some work on my laptop, and then these three sit not far from me by chicken licking, and then I'm hearing a conversation, but one of them has this high voice. Even if he tries to lower it, he just cannot. And they're South Africans, and one of them makes a comment. Now, I'm not quite sure if the comment was an observation, an opinion, or some kind of deep-seated prejudice, because his observation in the flight, he says, he's asking these other two gentlemen, guys, did you see the plane was colorful this time around? And then the other one, he was like, well, the color is one-sided. Us, we were the minority. Them, they were the majority. So I look with the side of my eye and I see the third one says, so pointing towards me, thinking that I'm listening. Well, I wasn't listening, but because they're talking about the colors in the aeroplane, so that kind of piqued my interest. And so he's trying to get this one quiet, the one with a voice that even if he tries to lower it, I can still hear him loud and clear. He is like, yeah, man, when not so long ago, it was just us in the flight. It's just us and quite comfortable too. And this other one just ends up standing up because he's distancing himself from this conversation and he does not want to be filmed, because I was not filming. I was just sitting on my laptop and just doing my own thing. But he gets up because he wants to disassociate himself from this conversation. And these guys, it's flying over their heads what the third one is actually doing. Well, the conversation did continue as far as the second guy saying, yeah, they are all coming here. With an attitude like, at least with the second guy, I picked up that he has prejudices against people. So the other one, I think he was just making an observation, or unless he was disguising it and coding it for others not to actually end up being a racial discriminatory conversation. But the other one was like, yeah, they are all coming here. Everywhere you go on the African continent, you're on the flights, there they are. There they are. I'm like, what? This is their home, bro. You know, this is their home. This is their home. You must remember the transatlantic slave trade forcefully kidnapped people, lynched them, forced them into boats. There are like historic sites in West Africa. When you go to Ghana or you go to Nigeria, Senegal, you will find those palaces. Evidence that they were taken from here. Yeah, and of course, with the help of some African chiefs who were too greedy and inhumane, selling their own people. Shame on them. So that was the conversation that I overheard at the airport, which was very funny to me. And it's been interesting, anyways, with everything that is happening as well here in South Africa. And I can tell you one thing, a lot of us are super excited, very excited. And those of you who have written me emails wanting to meet up, and I've been declining, not because I don't want to meet you guys. I'm going through it. I'm going through it. And I'm hoping all of this is going to come to an end at some point. But I do enjoy meeting you guys, and also the guilt that I also feel. Because it's not that I don't want to see you guys. I really, really want to see you. And I hope if you are planning to come to South Africa, particularly in Joburg, it is cold. Make sure that you carry warm clothes. Forget about what you ever heard about Africa and its heat. Not in South Africa. We experience all four seasons just like you in the United States. While you guys are having summer in the US, we are having winter down here. As you can see, I'm just underdressed right now. I'm wearing a scarf because my neck is too sensitive when it comes to cold. And I was supposed to be wearing gloves as well because my fingers and my toes, they have to be protected. I'm just letting you know. Please pack up some warm clothes, especially, well, yeah, for the morning and the evenings. In between, sometimes it does get warm, but right now we are having cold fronts that are hitting us, and you don't want to be caught on them. They are cold. That's all I can tell you. Now, the other thing that I was observing was Latinos thinking that African Americans are immigrants. Then you start thinking, wait a minute, let's go back a little bit to the 5th of November when they were busy singing, I will vote for Donald Trump. That song kills me to this day whenever I hear it. It makes me laugh for so many reasons as to how things just turned from we love you, we vote. I'm sorry, but for me, it's hilarious. These are the consequences of your conscience at the end of the day. Whichever way you feel about this is the consequences of your conscience when you go to the ballot paper or ballot box, or whatever it is that people call it. And now, you're telling me when you went to that voting booth, you thought that African Americans were going to be the target for all what is happening in the United States when it comes to immigration? Who taught you history? Is history even taught in your schools? They failed you. I must tell you, they failed you because you made a decision that you thought was going to punish the American citizens. The American citizens. And secondly, they were not there by choice. I just said that previously when I was talking about the three white gentlemen who were talking about how the flight from Atlanta, I think it was colorful. And the other was like, oh, it was not colorful. It was predominantly people. So Americans, African Americans, they are the citizens of the United States for the past 400 and plus years. Yeah, and I also saw some Nigerians, and I'm not saying all, I'm saying some Nigerians who thought the same thing about African Americans. And you have to ask yourself, what is your education system teaching you? I don't understand. I don't get that. How did we get here? And now you're thinking that ICE is going to go after African Americans? They wouldn't dare. Even if whoever wants them out of the United States, it's just not gonna happen. Not anytime soon. Yeah. If it does, I wonder how the FBA are going to feel about it. It'll be interesting to hear from them how they are actually going to say, I am an aboriginal of the United States. I'm not African. The delusion, it kills me all the time. And they love my channel. And you have to ask yourself, what are you doing in a platform that has absolutely nothing to do with you? Please make me. And where's the logic in that? It's like you, as FBAs, you are having a gathering. Either I come as an African or a black American who identifies as an African American and invites themselves to your gathering. How are you going to feel about it? Will that be logical for them? I mean, it's just not. So stay in your lane. Now, here's another thing that I am recently observing. I think on this one, I agree with the White House. 100% agree with the White House. But there is a danger in this. And I think the White House is figuring out a lot of things. I think with the United States going to lose about $12.5 billion in the tourism industry because of these travel advisories, that's not going to be good for the economy. And now the alternative for a lot of Americans that are traveling is Africa, because I'm also hearing how some European countries are a little bit resentful towards Americans, and I hear there's a lot of denying Americans visas to travel to Europe, and that is soon going to happen here in Africa. And I think all of this is deliberate to keep Americans in America, not taking the dollar out of the United States. You and I, when I used to have lives here, we predicted this. You and I predicted this, like with all the, especially African Americans, rediscovering Africa and coming back home, either to Ghana or South Africa, wherever they travel to on the continent. And we said we don't think they are going to like it, especially those that take an interest in relocating, leaving the United States altogether. And now I think with what is happening, there's going to be retaliation from countries, whether in Europe or in Africa, because 35 African countries have been banned from entering the United States. Yeah, some of these countries, many African Americans go to either for relocation or for vacation or for research purposes. And those countries in particular, the ones that I'm talking about, I think maybe one of them is Ghana. Ghana is one of the countries that have been banned to travel to the United States. And now Ghana is going to retaliate at some point. That is, if they are going to take that route of retaliating, where they might actually ban Americans from coming to Ghana, which I don't think they will, because that means they will be blocking the dollar also entering Ghana. But I don't know, there will be some kind of tit for tat type of situation if this goes through and fully goes through. And this is where I'm kind of like agreeing with the White House. They are saying these 35 countries that they've banned from entering the United States, they do not meet very important and key requirements like identification or verification. Now, you cannot accept a person into your country that you cannot verify their identity. Now, this is where South Africans cry a lot about. We have African countries with the weakest passport. And the only way to enter the United States with a passport that is not suspected, that is not weak, they come to South Africa, and they really invest a lot of time in that. Because in order to get South African citizen, it's either you marry a South African woman or a South African man. Most of these guys are men who come to South Africa, coming from other parts of Africa, particularly Nigerians. They would marry South African women, stay for 5 years, because that's what's required now for you to become a citizen. And then they apply for citizenship. And once they apply for citizenship, of course, now they get a passport that is now open to the world. Because South African passport, is open to about 155 countries of the 195 countries in the world. And United States is one of those countries where South African passport enjoys the respect that it deserves. And so once they marry a South African citizen, get their passport, fly to the US without telling their South African wife, get to the US, and guess what they're going to do? Apply for the green card or American citizenship with a South African passport and stay for that 5 years and go through the process. And when they pass, they become American citizens or get the green card, and immediately after that, they tear off the South African passport. So South Africa for them becomes like a springboard. Why? Because our home affairs is corrupt to the core. And so they know in order for them to achieve this goal, they have to pay some money to some officials. Thankfully, the Home Affairs Minister is cleaning out that corruption, and it's making things a little bit difficult for people with nefarious intentions with our immigration laws, particularly our passport. And some other countries, like if you go to the UK, you go to Thailand, they are now a little bit suspicious with anybody that is holding a South African passport. They pull you aside. They want to know if you really are a South African citizen. I know even in Thailand, they're even learning how South Africans speak and how Nigerians speak, because it's very different. How we speak, you can actually tell a South African from a Nigerian and vice versa. So now they're beginning to learn these things so they can sift out a person carrying a South African passport, so they can confirm with the South African consulate in Thailand or wherever that they have this individual who claims to be a South African citizen. Do you have this individual in your systems? So that is what is currently happening. And I think with this travel ban, things might get worse in terms of corruption here in South Africa, because now with the systems being changed into digital or automation, they are literally going to go to South African women that are very poor and will agree to any amount of money just for this person to marry them, so that this person dumps them, goes away and hide in the midst of South Africans, wait for 5 years, and then go and apply for South African citizenship, therefore getting a South African passport. So yeah, we are in the doghouse with these travel bans for some African countries. Hopefully, they are going to get their acts together. I saw that the African Union has also entered the chat, but I don't like the angle they came in, asking the White House for a, what did they say they were asking for? A consultative approach. How do you consult with a country that is interested in protecting their national security? Your people, when they come, they cannot be verified. They're unverifiable. And secondly, those that have been identified and they've been asked to deport themselves, they are refusing to deport themselves. And so the United States is like, until all of these things happen in 90 days, they are going to fully implement the travel ban on these 35 African countries. And one of them as well is Egypt. So if you're an explorer, excavator, and you're American, I think there's going to be retaliation coming from these countries. Countries like Zimbabwe, Zambia, with the Victoria Falls. Countries like Tanzania. Some people, they go to Tanzania to go climb Kilimanjaro, or they go to Zanzibar. I mean, there's going to be retaliation there too. They are definitely going to retaliate. Of course, the tourism industry in those 35 countries are going to get destroyed. And I'm not quite sure how they are going to have contingency plans to, I don't know. This one is a bit confusing, even though I'm trying to think, and I do see some African countries who have started to retaliate. I think Chad has already started. I think Burkina Faso has like, okay, thank you, bye, we don't need you anyway. And suddenly now I'm seeing reports coming from the White House warning Burkina Faso about building a relationship with China. And I'm like, but you also banned them from entering the United States. What do you want from Burkina Faso? Anyways, as Africans, we are saying, stay away from Ibrahim Traoré. You do not enter that one. Africa as a whole will stand behind him. We would even use our own bodies as shields if we have to. That is the mentality right now when it comes to Ibrahim Traoré, and especially when he is getting warnings and threats from the White House. Like, what on earth? You cannot control a country on the other side of the pond, all the way the other side. I know I'm also talking I know I'm talking about Burkina Faso, and I haven't touched on us and the propaganda. I don't know if you guys have been around on this channel for since day one. I've always said that South Africa struggles, or at least it is targeted with a lot of propaganda. Lots of propaganda. And the latest propaganda, y'all actually got to see. Everybody got to see the lies on it. And those very people who were telling these lies to the White House turned around and said, oh, no, we did not say that. We did not say there is the G-side on white people in South Africa. No, we didn't say that. And we're like, yeah, you did. You did. The reason why they were changing their tune is the consequences thereafter. And also, their very own people who happen to be farmers, commercial farmers, they're talking rubbish. And now suddenly they are changing their tune. But there are some people who really believe, because straight on, that there is one. And it's clear that their aim is to destroy the reputation of South Africa. Even on this video, you are going to see them in the comment section. They are going to be in the comment section. There is crime in South Africa that affects all people in South Africa. Most of the people that are affected by these heinous crimes are black people. But when it comes to their own, they are busy unaliving each other. Most of them are men unaliving their wives. Oh no, let's not talk about that one. Some unalive their wives using this propaganda. Like, oh, my wife was unalived by black people who obviously JSing us in South Africa, to kind of spread this as the truth, when it is the horrible man who was abusing his wife, subsequently unaliving her, and then he comes and says, oh no, she was attacked by these people because this is what they're busy doing to us. So the egg is on the White House on this one, because nobody believes this rubbish. Nobody. I mean, if history is anything to go by, I think they kind of forgot how the world saw them as the perpetrators, especially the apartheid lieutenants and bosses, subsequently some of them, that the apartheid was a crime against humanity. The crimes that we forgave and said, okay, let's come together and build a nation together. And they were like, no. So they run to the White House because they are grifters. And then they lied. And now the leaders of this entire lie, they've changed their tune. But unfortunately, it has created a whole new bunch of people who are now leading this lie. But unfortunately, they keep hitting the brick wall on a global stage. Nobody believes them because it's a lie. We've had lots of organizations that have come to witness this and observe if such a thing is happening. But here we are. You'll find us dancing together. You'll find us at the stadium celebrating a South African sport win. You will find us shopping in the mall together. You will find, and now you'll get here. You'll be like, what's happening? Where is the G side? What G side? Crime, yes. There are witnesses. I mean, evidence of that, and it is reported because it's recorded. Yeah. Anyways, I thought let me come here and share with you some of the things that I am observing and watching while I'm going through my own stuff. I think they're kind of like distracting as well, which I like. Again, my friends, I still love y'all. If you come across this video, always love you. And I'll see you. I'll see you guys. I really will see you once everything has settled. All right. And please don't leave the video without liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And I'll see you next time with the new one. Goodbye.